The 160-pound broken guardian and the blizzard rescue. A 160-pound livestock guardian dog who has just lost his entire flock to a devastating wildfire is a dangerous, unpredictable, and profoundly broken creature. My name is Wyatt Mercer. I am 61 years old, and I run a struggling, large animal rescue sanctuary out on the freezing, wind-battered plains of Wyoming. Farming out here is not a romantic life. It is a brutal, physically exhausting existence. It requires thick skin and a stubborn heart. But my heart had been empty for a long time. Since my wife passed away 3 years ago from a sudden illness, I had just been going through the motions. The sprawling wooden farmhouse was too big for one man. The silence in the hallways had become deafening. My daughter, Hannah, is a local large animal veterinarian. We barely spoke anymore. She looked too much like her mother, and looking at her just reminded me of everything I had lost. I had quietly listed the sanctuary with a real estate broker. I was planning to sell the farm at the end of the year, pack my bags, and disappear into a quiet, lonely retirement. I was completely done fighting. And then, exactly a month before Christmas, I got a call from the county animal control. They asked me to take in a dog named Goliath. Goliath was a gargantuan, 160-pound Great Pyrenees and Anatolian Shepherd mix. He was a working livestock guardian dog on a massive neighboring ranch. 2 weeks prior, a terrifying, fast-moving wildfire had swept through the dry plains. Goliath had survived the blaze. He had severe burn scars across his heavy white coat and his thick legs. But his flock of sheep, the 60 gentle animals he had been bred, raised, and trained to protect since the day he was born, did not survive. The fire had taken all of them. When animal control dropped Goliath off at my sanctuary, his physical burns were mostly healed. But mentally, the giant dog was completely gone. Livestock guardians do not think like normal dogs. They do not care about tennis balls or treats. They are ancient, noble creatures driven entirely by a fierce, ingrained sense of duty. Without a flock to protect, they lose their reason to exist. When I led Goliath into my heated barn, he didn't explore. He didn't sniff the hay. He walked directly into the darkest, furthest corner of the wooden barn. He faced the slatted wall. He laid his massive, heavy body down on the dirt floor, and he simply gave up. For 8 agonizing days, Goliath refused to eat. He refused to drink water unless I forced a sponge into his mouth. He did not bark. He did not look at me. He did not acknowledge the rescue horses or the goats in the other stalls. His eyes were empty, dark pools of absolute sorrow. He was actively dying of a broken heart. He was crippled by a guardian survivor's guilt. He had failed his flock, and he had decided he did not deserve to live. Hannah came by the farm on the 8th day to drop off medical supplies. She looked at the giant dog in the corner and shook her head, her eyes filling with tears. "His organs are going to start shutting down, Dad," Hannah whispered, wiping her face. "He's starving himself to death. His spirit is broken. There is nothing medical I can do for a broken soul." I looked at Goliath. I recognized the deep, crushing weight of his depression. It was the exact same heavy, suffocating darkness that I had been carrying in my own chest for 3 years. We were 2 broken old men, just waiting for the cold to finally take us. On the 9th day, the sky over Wyoming turned a bruised, violent purple. A brutal, record-breaking blizzard slammed into the plains. The temperature plummeted to 15 degrees below zero. The wind howled like a dying animal, dumping 3 feet of snow across the property in a matter of hours. The roads were completely impassable. We were cut off from the rest of the world. At 6 p.m., the heavy wooden doors of my barn were violently kicked open. A 19-year-old local delivery driver named Sam stumbled inside. He was covered head to toe in snow, gasping for air, shivering violently. His delivery van had gotten stuck in a massive snowdrift a mile down the road. But Sam wasn't just seeking shelter. He was holding something tight against his chest inside his heavy winter coat. "Wyatt! Dr. Hannah!" Sam screamed over the howling wind, collapsing onto his knees in the hay. "Help! Please help me!" Hannah and I rushed forward. Sam unzipped his coat. Resting against his chest was a tiny, frozen, day-old baby alpaca. It was covered in ice. Its long, spindly legs were stiff. Its eyes were closed. An exotic transport truck slid off the icy highway near the bridge. Sam choked out, his teeth chattering. The driver unhitched the trailer and left. This baby was dumped in the freezing ditch. It's barely breathing. Hannah grabbed the tiny creature. We laid it on a pile of clean hay under a high-wattage heat lamp. We grabbed thick wool blankets and began rubbing the baby's body frantically, trying to generate friction. "Its core temperature is dropping to fatal levels," Hannah panicked, checking the animal's heart rate with her stethoscope. "The heartbeat is incredibly slow." "The heat lamp isn't enough, Dad. The blankets aren't warming it up fast enough. It's going to go into cardiac arrest in the next 10 minutes if we don't get its body temperature up." I looked around the freezing barn. The power was flickering. We had no heated water blankets. We had no incubators. Then, I looked at the dark corner of the barn. I looked at Goliath. The 160-pound, heavily furred mountain of a dog was lying in the dirt, completely ignoring the chaos, staring blankly at the wall. A crazy, desperate idea sparked in my mind. I scooped up the freezing, limp baby alpaca in my arms. "Dad, what are you doing?" Hannah asked, her voice rising in panic as I walked toward the giant dog. "It needs immediate, sustained, intense body heat," I said. "Goliath's internal temperature is over 100 degrees. His undercoat is thick." "Dad, stop!" Hannah warned, stepping in front of me. "It's a prey animal. Goliath is incredibly unstable right now. He is severely depressed. He hasn't eaten in 8 days. He might see it as an intrusion on his space. If he snaps, he will crush that baby's neck in a single bite." I looked at the giant dog. I looked at the dying baby in my arms. "If I leave it under the lamp, it dies in 10 minutes, I said firmly. "I have to try." I walked past my daughter. I approached the dark corner. Goliath did not move. He did not lift his head. I carefully knelt down in the dirt. I took a deep breath, praying to a God I hadn't spoken to in 3 years. I placed the shivering, freezing baby alpaca on the hay, exactly 4 feet away from Goliath's broad, scarred back. I slowly backed away. For 15 agonizing seconds, absolutely nothing happened. The barn was dead silent except for the violent, screaming wind rattling the wooden roof. Then, the tiny alpaca let out a weak, desperate, rattling hum. It was a cry for its mother. It was a cry for warmth. Goliath's massive ears twitched. The giant dog lifted his heavy head from the dirt. He slowly turned his sorrowful, empty eyes toward the sound. Hannah and I held our breath. I curled my hands into fists, my muscles tensed, ready to dive forward and wrestle the 160-pound beast away if he bared his teeth. Goliath slowly stood up. His massive, bear-like frame cast a huge, terrifying shadow over the tiny, fragile alpaca. He loomed over the freezing creature. He opened his massive jaws. Chapter 1, The Weight of the Silence. Farming out here on the Wyoming plains is not a romantic life. It is a brutal, physically exhausting existence. It requires thick skin, heavy boots, and a stubborn heart. But my heart had been empty for a very long time. My name is Wyatt Mercer. I am 61 years old. I run a large animal rescue sanctuary. We take in the broken, the abused, and the forgotten. Old draft horses with bad knees. Goats with missing eyes. Mules that no one else wants. I used to run this place with my wife, Martha. She was the soul of the farm. She knew the name of every single animal. She woke up at dawn with a smile on her face, no matter how cold it was outside. But 3 years ago, a sudden, aggressive illness took her from me. She died in the hospital on a Tuesday afternoon. When she died, the color drained completely out of my world. Since that day, I had just been going through the motions. I fed the animals. I fixed the fences. I shoveled the manure. But I was not really living. The sprawling wooden farmhouse was far too big for one man. The silence in the empty hallways had become absolutely deafening. My daughter, Dr. Hannah Mercer, is a local large animal veterinarian. We used to be incredibly close. But since Martha died, we barely spoke. We avoided each other. Hannah looked too much like her mother. Hearing her laugh, seeing the way she tied her hair back, it just reminded me of everything I had permanently lost. We had built a wall of uncomfortable, polite silence between us. I was completely done fighting. I was tired. A week before Thanksgiving, I secretly met with a commercial real estate broker. I listed the sanctuary for sale. I was planning to sell the land at the end of the year, pack a small suitcase, and disappear into a quiet, lonely retirement. I wanted to surrender. And then, exactly a month before Christmas, the county animal control truck pulled up to my gate. They asked me to take in a dog named Goliath. Chapter 2, The Broken Guardian. Goliath was not a normal dog. He was a gargantuan, 160-pound Great Pyrenees and Anatolian Shepherd mix. He was a working livestock guardian dog on a massive, 1,000-acre neighboring ranch. 2 weeks prior, a terrifying, fast-moving wildfire had swept through the dry, dead plains. The flames had consumed everything in their path. Goliath had survived the blaze. He had severe, painful burn scars across his heavy white coat, his thick legs, and his snout. But his flock of sheep, the 60 gentle, helpless animals he had been bred, raised, and trained to protect since the day he was born, did not survive. The fire had moved too fast. The smoke had been too thick. Goliath had fought the flames, trying to herd them to safety, but he had failed. The fire had taken all of them. When animal control dropped Goliath off at my sanctuary, his physical burns were bandaged and mostly healed. But mentally, the giant dog was completely destroyed. Livestock guardians do not think like normal dogs. They are not interested in fetching tennis balls. They do not care about belly rubs or treats. They are ancient, noble creatures driven entirely by a fierce, ingrained sense of duty. Their flock is their entire universe. Without a flock to protect, they lose their entire reason to exist. When I led Goliath into my heated main barn, he didn't explore. He didn't sniff the fresh hay. He didn't look at the horses in the nearby stalls. He walked directly into the darkest, furthest corner of the wooden barn. He faced the slatted wooden wall. He laid his massive, heavy body down on the dirt floor. And he simply gave up. For 8 agonizing days, Goliath refused to eat. He refused to touch the high-protein kibble I poured for him. He refused to drink water unless I sat on the ground and squeezed a wet sponge directly into his mouth. He did not bark. He did not look at me. His eyes were empty, dark pools of absolute, crushing sorrow. He was actively dying of a broken heart. He was crippled by a guardian survivor's guilt. He believed he had failed his sheep, and he had decided he did not deserve to live anymore. Hannah came by the farm on the 8th day to drop off some medical supplies. She knelt in the dirt next to the giant dog. She listened to his heart with her stethoscope. She shook her head, her eyes filling with heavy tears. His organs are going to start shutting down soon, Dad, Hannah whispered. She wiped her face with the back of her sleeve. He's starving himself to death. His spirit is completely broken. There is absolutely nothing medical I can do for a broken soul. I looked down at Goliath. I recognized the deep, crushing weight of his depression. It was the exact same heavy, suffocating darkness that I had been carrying in my own chest for 3 long years. We were just 2 broken old men sitting in the dirt, waiting for the cold to finally take us away. Chapter 3, The Whiteout. On the 9th day, the sky over the Wyoming plains turned a bruised, violent purple. The weather forecasters had warned us, but the reality was far worse. A brutal, record-breaking blizzard slammed into the state. The temperature plummeted rapidly to 15 degrees below zero. The wind howled like a dying animal, rattling the heavy wooden beams of my barn. It dumped 3 feet of heavy, wet snow across the property in a matter of hours. The roads were completely impassable. The county plows were pulled off the highways. We were entirely cut off from the rest of the world. Hannah had stayed at the farm because her truck couldn't make it through the drifts. We spent the afternoon in silence, breaking the ice in the animal water troughs with a heavy iron sledgehammer, keeping the heaters running. At 6 p.m., the heavy, sliding wooden doors of my barn were violently pushed open. The hinges shrieked in protest against the wind. A 19-year-old local delivery driver named Sam stumbled inside. Sam was covered head to toe in white snow. He was gasping for air, his face pale, shivering violently. His delivery van had hit black ice and gotten stuck in a massive snowdrift a mile down the road. He had walked through the deadly whiteout to reach my lights. But Sam wasn't just seeking shelter. He was holding his thick winter coat tightly closed against his chest. "Wyatt! Dr. Hannah!" Sam screamed over the howling wind. He collapsed onto his knees in the hay, exhausted. "Help! Please help me!" Hannah and I dropped our tools and rushed forward. Sam unzipped his heavy coat with trembling fingers. Resting against his chest was a tiny, frozen, day-old baby alpaca. Chapter 4, The Frozen Package. It was covered in a thick layer of ice. Its long, spindly legs were stiff and locked. Its large eyes were closed. It looked like a discarded, broken toy. An exotic livestock transport truck slid off the icy highway near the bridge, Sam choked out. His teeth were chattering so hard he could barely speak. The driver unhitched the trailer to save his cab and just left. This baby was dumped in the freezing ditch. I saw it moving when I was digging my tires out. It's barely breathing. Hannah grabbed the tiny creature from his arms. "Get a heat lamp. Now!" Hannah commanded, slipping instantly into her professional veterinarian mode. I dragged a high-wattage industrial heat lamp over to a pile of clean, dry hay. We laid the tiny alpaca under the glowing red light. We grabbed thick wool blankets from the supply closet and began rubbing the baby's fragile body frantically. We were trying to generate physical friction to wake up its circulation. "Its core temperature is dropping to fatal levels," Hannah panicked. She pressed her stethoscope tightly against the animal's ribs. "The heartbeat is incredibly slow and erratic. The heat lamp isn't enough, Dad. The blankets aren't warming the internal organs fast enough. It's going to go into cardiac arrest in the next 10 minutes if we don't get its body temperature up right now." I looked around the freezing barn. The wind was seeping through the cracks in the wood. The power overhead was flickering dangerously. We had no heated water blankets. We had no medical incubators. We had no hot water. Then, I looked at the dark corner of the barn. I looked at Goliath. The 160-pound, heavily furred mountain of a dog was lying in the dirt. He was completely ignoring the chaos, the yelling, and the storm. He was just staring blankly at the wooden wall, waiting to die. A crazy, desperate, terrifying idea sparked in my mind. Chapter 5, The Gamble. I scooped up the freezing, limp baby alpaca in my arms. It weighed almost nothing. "Dad, what are you doing?" Hannah asked. Her voice rose in immediate panic as I turned and walked toward the giant dog. "It needs immediate, sustained, intense body heat," I said quickly. "Goliath's internal temperature is over 100 degrees. His undercoat is incredibly thick and dense." "Dad, stop," Hannah warned. She stepped right in front of me, holding her hands up. "It's a prey animal. Goliath is incredibly unstable right now. He is severely depressed. He hasn't eaten a single meal in 8 days. He might see it as an intrusion on his safe space. If he snaps, if he gets defensive, his jaws will crush that baby's neck in a single bite." I stopped. I looked at the giant dog. Then, I looked at the dying baby shivering in my arms. "If I leave it under the lamp, it dies in 10 minutes, I said firmly, meeting my daughter's terrified eyes. "I have to try. Trust me." Hannah hesitated, but she slowly stepped aside. I walked past her. I approached the dark corner. Goliath did not move. He did not lift his heavy head. I carefully knelt down in the dirt. I took a deep breath. I prayed silently to a God I hadn't spoken to since the day my wife died. I placed the shivering, freezing baby alpaca on the hay, exactly 4 feet away from Goliath's broad, scarred back. I slowly backed away, raising my hands. For 15 agonizing, terrifying seconds, absolutely nothing happened. The barn was dead silent, except for the violent, screaming wind rattling the wooden roof above us. The dog did not move. The baby did not move. Then, the tiny alpaca let out a weak, desperate, rattling hum. It was a pathetic, high-pitched cry for its mother. It was a cry for warmth. Goliath's massive, scarred ears twitched. The giant dog lifted his heavy head from the dirt. He slowly turned his sorrowful, empty eyes toward the sound. Hannah and I held our breath. I curled my hands into tight fists. My muscles tensed. I was completely ready to dive forward and physically wrestle the 160-pound beast away if he bared his teeth or growled. Goliath slowly stood up. His massive, bear-like frame cast a huge, terrifying shadow over the tiny, fragile alpaca. He loomed over the freezing creature. He slowly lowered his enormous, heavy head. He opened his massive jaws. Chapter 6, The Crescent Moon. Goliath did not bite. He did not growl. He did not show his teeth. He leaned his nose gently against the wet, freezing fur of the alpaca. He took a long, deep breath, smelling the fragile creature. Then, the giant dog let out a deep, rumbling, heavy sigh. It was not a sigh of aggression. It was the sigh of an old soldier realizing he had been called back to the front lines. Goliath took one slow step forward. He gently nudged the baby alpaca with his massive nose, pushing it slightly onto its side. Then, Goliath circled the baby twice, stepping very carefully with his massive paws to avoid stepping on its fragile legs. With incredible, profound gentleness, Goliath collapsed his 160-pound body in the hay. He curled himself into a tight, protective crescent moon entirely around the shivering alpaca. He wrapped his thick, heavily furred legs around the baby's body. Finally, he rested his heavy, white, scarred chin gently right over the baby's neck. He trapped his immense, radiating body heat entirely around the freezing creature. He created a perfect, living, breathing incubator. Hannah gasped, covering her mouth with her hands. Tears flooded her eyes. I fell to my knees in the hay. I couldn't speak. My chest was heaving with a sudden, overwhelming wave of emotion. Within 10 minutes, insulated by the dense, 100-degree fur of the Great Pyrenees, the baby alpaca completely stopped shivering. Its breathing slowed and deepened. It closed its eyes, leaned its small head against the giant dog's chest, and fell into a deep, safe, peaceful sleep. 10 minutes after that, Goliath lifted his heavy head. He looked directly across the barn at me. The empty, dead, hollow look in his dark eyes was completely gone. The sorrow had vanished. The absolute, fierce, ancient intelligence of a guardian had returned to his gaze. Goliath puffed out his chest. He looked at the barn door, then looked at me. And then, for the first time in 9 days, Goliath let out a single, booming, deafening, protective bark. He was announcing to the storm, to the barn, and to the world that this baby belonged to him. Nothing was going to hurt it. He was officially back on duty. Chapter 7, The Thaw. The blizzard raged outside for another 12 hours. But inside the dark corner of the barn, a profound, beautiful miracle had occurred. Goliath did not move from the baby's side for the entire night. At 4 a.m., I brought a large metal bowl filled with warm water and high-protein dog food over to the corner. I set it down gently. Goliath looked at the bowl. He looked at the sleeping baby alpaca tucked against his stomach. Then, the giant dog leaned forward and began to eat. He ate the entire bowl in less than a minute. He drank the water greedily. He needed his strength back. He had a job to do. I sat down in the hay a few feet away, watching them. Hannah came over and sat silently next to me. She leaned her head against my shoulder. I wrapped my arm tightly around my daughter, pulling her close. "He saved it," Hannah whispered, her voice thick with tears. "No," I said softly, watching the giant dog rest his chin back on the baby. "They saved each other." Sitting there in the freezing barn, holding my daughter for the first time in 3 years, I felt the heavy, suffocating ice in my own chest finally begin to crack and melt away. I looked at the scarred, broken dog who had found a reason to live by protecting something incredibly fragile. And I realized that I had been doing it all wrong. Giving up was easy. Selling the farm and running away to a quiet retirement was the coward's way out. Martha wouldn't have wanted me to quit. She would have wanted me to stay on duty. Chapter 8, On Duty. 3 months passed. The brutal Wyoming winter finally broke, giving way to the bright, green thaw of spring. I fired the commercial real estate broker. I ripped the "for sale" sign out of the front yard and threw it into the trash. The sanctuary was staying open. Hannah and I had dinner together 3 nights a week now. We talked about her mother. We laughed. We cried. We finally took the bricks out of the wall we had built between us. We became a family again. Out in the green, sunlit pasture behind the main barn, a very strange, beautiful sight can be seen every single day. A growing, healthy, energetic young alpaca runs playfully through the tall grass. It hops, kicks its legs, and bleats happily at the rescue horses in the neighboring field. And walking exactly 3 feet behind it, never taking his eyes off the horizon, is a massive, 160-pound, heavily scarred Great Pyrenees. Goliath's coat is thick and shiny now. His burns have healed into proud badges of honor. He patrols the fence line with a majestic, purposeful stride. He checks the gates. He watches the tree line for coyotes. When the sun begins to set, the young alpaca walks over to the giant dog and lays down in the grass. Goliath lays down right next to it, wrapping his massive body around the smaller animal in a perfect, protective crescent moon. He found his new flock. And I finally found mine. Sometimes, when you lose everything, you think your life is completely over. You think the fire has burned away your entire purpose. But if you hold on just long enough through the blizzard, you might find that the very thing you need to heal your broken heart is just waiting in the dark, shivering, asking you to be brave one more time. The end.
Thank you for listening to today's narrative. If this story resonated with you, please hit that like button right now. It's the best way to help the channel grow. To never miss a release, subscribe to the Fiction feed and turn on notifications. See ya!